Previously on the Vampire Diaries, Rebecca revealed the secret of how her family became vampires and why Michael is hunting Klaus. Elena exposed Klaus' lies, causing Rebecca to lose faith in her brother. Meanwhile, Damon and Elena teamed up with Michael to devise a plan to kill Klaus. Nightfall descends as Klaus makes a grand return to the town, turning the dance into an outdoor party, a twisted homage to his father's funeral. Little does he know, he's the prey, already ensnared in a deadly trap. Stefan plans to take Klaus to inspect the corpse, but Klaus, ever cautious, insists Stefan bring the body to him. Now things get complicated. Michael's original plan was to lure Klaus in and then kill him with the white oak stake he'd secretly kept hidden.
Fancy. Meh. It's the only weapon on this earth that can kill an original, so I think I'll hold on to it.
But Klaus has taken over Mayor Lockwood's house, and Michael can't enter without an invitation. Damon claims to have an emergency plan.
Just doesn't involve you.
Stefan never imagined that, as a vampire, he would one day be drained of blood. Michael, true to his title as the father of the originals, feeds on the blood of vampires. At the party, Elena is visibly tense, especially when facing Klaus, nearly arousing his suspicion. Klaus warns Elena, "Michael has hunted me for 1,000 years, but I always find a way to stay one step ahead. So whatever you're planning,
go for it. Give it your best shot. You won't succeed."
Klaus's confidence suggests he has an ace up his sleeve, and Elena senses impending doom. Meanwhile, Damon and Michael split up, one working in the light, the other in the shadows. When Damon sneaks in, he encounters a hybrid and wastes no time ripping out his heart. At the same time, Michael reveals himself to draw Klaus's attention. Klaus realizes he's been duped, but remains unfazed. Michael can't step foot into the house. The father and son are at an impasse. Finally, Klaus reveals his trump card. During his absence, he traveled the world and built an army of hybrids, confident of his victory.
All I have to do is rub these two fingers together, and I'll pounce.
But Michael remains unfazed, mocking that while these hybrids may pledge loyalty to Klaus, half of their blood still belongs to vampires.
Power. And they can be compelled by me.
Klaus is stunned. His hybrid army has been turned against him by his father. In order to force Klaus to come out, Michael had the hybrids kidnap Elena. Elena's blood is the key to creating hybrids, an undeniable weak spot for Klaus. Father and son moved from the first round of their confrontation into the second, a psychological duel. Michael knew Klaus feared loneliness, and he ruthlessly exploited this, wounding Klaus deeply with his words.
Nobody cares about you anymore, boy!
Klaus pretended not to care, claiming that the hybrids were worth far less than his own life. "Old man, if you've got the guts, kill her." Klaus breaks down in tears again, his bravado losing all its power. Michael laughed mockingly. Michael actually attacked Elena, leaving Klaus both shocked and terrified. From start to finish, he had been oppressed by his father. Damon launched an attack from within, wounding Klaus with the white oak stake, nearly piercing his heart. At that moment, Elena suddenly came back to life. Michael was startled but quickly saw through her identity. It was Catherine disguised as Elena. No wonder she seemed so nervous when facing Klaus at the party. This was Damon's plan B, having Catherine impersonate Elena. But Damon hadn't informed Michael, just as Damon was about to stab Klaus. However, there was another twist in the plot. As Stefan appeared to stop Damon, Klaus seized the opportunity, grabbing the stake and plunging it into Michael's chest with a swift move. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Michael was completely bewildered, dying without ever understanding what had happened, watching his father's body turn to ash. Klaus finally felt liberated. As a reward for Stefan, Klaus released him from his compulsion. Stefan was finally free.
Thank you, my friend. You no longer have to do as I say. You're free.
Today's assassination attempt was full of unexpected turns. Who would have thought the enemy was within? Damon was furious. He had thought of everything, worried that Stefan might ruin the plan. He had Michael seriously injure Stefan, and to prevent Michael from betraying him, he replaced Elena with Catherine. But in the end, it all fell apart. Elena quickly tried to comfort Damon.
We're never getting Stefan back.
Then we'll let him go.
But they didn't know about Stefan's quiet sacrifice. At that moment, Stefan was with Catherine. It turns out that Klaus had seen through Catherine's disguise at the party. Klaus warned Catherine that if anything happened to him, the hybrids would carry out his final order. and that order was to kill the Salvatore brothers as a burial offering. Damon's assassination attempt was a suicide mission, so Catherine awakened the gravely injured Stefan. On one side was Klaus's death threat, and on the other was the wrath of the mighty Michael. They couldn't afford to anger either of them, so they devised a new plan: help Klaus eliminate Michael. This way, not only would Damon be safe, but Stefan would also regain his freedom. Stefan was puzzled by one thing: by all rights, Catherine was the one who most wanted Klaus dead, but now she would have to continue fleeing. Catherine spoke with deep emotion.
I loved you. I love Damon too. Humanity is a vampire's greatest weakness. Sometimes I let it.
Catherine's words were a subtle hint to Stefan that it was time for him to regain his humanity. Stefan was silent for a moment before refusing. After killing his father, Klaus planned to resurrect the other originals. It was time for the Michelson family to reunite, but he couldn't reach Rebecca on her phone. He didn't know that Rebecca's body had been thrown into the cellar by Damon. At that moment, Stefan called. Klaus answered cheerfully, "Brother, you've just left and already miss me?"
No one ever gets old? Revenge.
Damn it! Stefan dared to steal his family? Klaus's face turned pale with rage, his teeth grinding. No wonder Stefan doesn't want to regain his humanity. Klaus can't even stand against Stefan's darker side. Stefan was sacrificing himself to secure Damon and Elena's safety.
I wonder, Klaus, as someone who's been one step ahead for 1,000 years, are you prepared for this?
Stefan's defiance made Klaus furious. This morning, the witch Bonnie had a dream she saw the 4 coffins appear in the witch's ancestral home. As mentioned before, there are 5 original vampires in total. Aside from Klaus and Rebecca, there should only be 3 coffins, so who or what is sealed in that last one? Under the influence of the murmuring voices, Bonnie opened the final coffin, only to find Klaus lying inside, with the original's witch's pendant wrapped around his hand. Bonnie immediately woke up. Klaus's death and the pendant representing the ancestors of the witches. This nightmare might be trying to guide Bonnie. Since the failed attempt to kill Klaus, everyone's been under a lot of pressure, fearing his retaliation. Elena, in particular, has become paranoid, seeing everyone as a potential threat. During her early morning run, she was startled by a passerby and ran off in a panic. Just when Elena thought she was safe, she turned around and ran right into the same man. It turned out to be a false alarm. Bonnie also shared her nightmare with Elena. Lately, Jeremy and Tyler have been getting closer. Bonnie broke up with Jeremy, and Caroline ignored Tyler. Both men were emotionally frustrated. Damon, devastated by his brother's betrayal, has been drinking heavily. Since they missed the perfect chance to kill Klaus, he's decided to just wait for death. It wasn't long before an enraged Klaus showed up. Elena then realized that the man who scared her earlier was indeed one of Klaus's hybrids. Klaus admitted that Stefan stole something from him, and if they don't help him get it back, they can expect nothing but misery. Stefan walked away clean, leaving behind a mess for Damon and Elena, deepening their mistrust of him. Plagued by nightmares, Bonnie went to the witch's ancestral home, only to find Stefan there. He wanted Bonnie to cast a spell to hide the coffins. At first, Bonnie was reluctant to help, fearing it would provoke Klaus. But Stefan revealed Klaus's weakness. The coffins contain Klaus's family, and as long as he can't find them, he won't dare to make any reckless moves. On the other hand, if they hand the coffins over, they'll lose their leverage. Bonnie reluctantly agreed to help. Meanwhile, Elena and Alaric were against Jeremy hanging out with Tyler, especially since Tyler is one of Klaus's hybrids. But rebellious Jeremy wouldn't listen and even invited Tyler into the house right in front of Elena and Alaric. Meanwhile, Klaus showed up to pressure Damon. Despite their enmity, they shared one common ground: they'd both been betrayed by Stefan. Klaus proposed an alliance with Damon. Damon made it clear that, no matter how much he hated his brother, he would never help Klaus. Klaus immediately pulled out his phone.
There he is. So that thing I told you to do, why don't you go ahead and get on with it?
Coincidentally, after Jeremy answered a call, he not only secretly took off his resurrection ring but also walked straight into the middle of the road, where a speeding car was barreling toward him. In the nick of time, Alaric pushed Jeremy out of the way, getting hit by the car himself.
There I go again, bumping into people.
Luckily, Alaric was wearing his resurrection ring. Tyler immediately went to confront Klaus. At the time, Klaus was directing his hybrids to establish a base in town, as he planned to stay permanently. Tyler's accusations carried little weight because, due to his loyalty to Klaus, He couldn't disobey Klaus's will. Upon hearing the news, Damon rushed over. Elena speculated that Jeremy had been compelled by Tyler's influence. Even if it wasn't Tyler's intention, but Tyler would follow Klaus's every command. To protect their loved ones, they had no choice but to help find the 4 coffins. Bonnie, unable to resist Elena's plea, revealed Stefan's whereabouts. Elena and Damon then headed to the witch's ancestral home. Damon, despised by the spirits of the witches, couldn't enter, so Elena had to go in alone to see Stefan.
He's gonna kill Jeremy.
Not really my problem.
Then you can go to hell.
Stefan had his reasons. The coffins were leverage against Klaus. Elena slapped Stefan hard, finally shattering her illusions about him. Damon decided to stay and talk with his brother. Although the witch's undead did not welcome Damon, he used teleportation to drag his brother out of hiding. Damon demanded to know why Stefan stopped him from killing Klaus. Stefan had no choice but to reveal the truth.
To save you!
Even so, Damon still stabbed Stefan before finally reconciling with him. With the misunderstanding cleared up, Damon wanted to be part of Stefan's plan, but Stefan had one condition: Elena had to be kept out of it. Despite being misunderstood, slapped, and rejected, Stefan still chose to protect Elena in silence. Naturally, Damon agreed wholeheartedly. When the Salvatore brothers united as one, Damon was finally no longer rejected by the undead. Stefan led Damon to an empty room and revealed that the 4 coffins were hidden there. Damon looks intently and the 4 coffins appear. It turns out the spirits of the witches hated Klaus just as much. They cast an invisibility spell on the coffins, so even if Klaus found this place, he wouldn't be able to see them. Meanwhile, Alaric, who had been killed by Klaus's trickery, finally resurrected. But something was wrong with the ring. Each time he came back, it took longer, and this time, his injuries hadn't fully healed. Elena quickly called for an ambulance, but Klaus's minions showed up to cause trouble. He compelled and dismissed the paramedics, then suggested to Elena that if she invited him in, he could heal Alaric with his blood. Just as Elena was hesitating, the hybrid was suddenly attacked and knocked out. It was Jeremy who had returned. Without a word, Jeremy rushed into the kitchen, grabbed a cleaver, and came back outside. Under Elena's bewildered gaze, Jeremy beheaded the hybrid. To truly kill a hybrid, you either rip out their heart or decapitate them. In that moment, Jeremy finally showed a bit of manliness. Elena and her brother quickly rushed Alaric to the hospital, where Damon healed him with his own blood. When Alaric woke up, he stared at his resurrection ring for a long time. Could it be losing its power? Dr. Fell was baffled by Alaric's miraculous recovery. The events of the day left Elena shaken, so she decided to meet with Klaus. She wanted to trade Rebecca for her brother's safety. Klaus, ever the sly one, agreed not to trouble Jeremy anymore, but then listed all the other people Elena cares about: Caroline, Bonnie, Damon, and more. When Klaus pulled out the dagger that had been sealing Rebecca, Elena told him that Rebecca already knew the truth, that he was the one who destroyed their family. Elena smirked disdainfully, while Klaus had a complex expression, inexplicably aggrieved and helpless. Before Rebecca could awaken, Klaus hurriedly transported her body back to his lair.
We'll meet again one day.
With his other siblings still missing, he had no choice but to seal his sister away once more. Klaus remained utterly alone. To ensure her brother's safety, Elena asked Damon to erase Jeremy's memories and send him away to study. Far from the turmoil, Bonnie returned to the witch's ancestral home, finding the scene exactly as she had dreamt it. But the last coffin wouldn't open. Stefan had tried everything, from hacking at it with an axe to Bonnie's magic, but nothing worked. Their instincts told them that the secret inside this coffin was the key to killing Klaus. Forcing Jeremy to forget everything made Elena feel deeply guilty, so Damon tried to comfort her, saying that death is even scarier.
Thank you.
No problem.
Not just for this, Damon, for everything.
Seeing how much Elena relied on him, Damon felt a pang of guilt. He explained Stefan's true intentions. Stefan hadn't betrayed them. On the contrary, everything he did was to protect them. Elena was stunned by this truth. Realizing she had misunderstood Stefan, Damon was willing to clear his brother's name, but he wasn't willing to suppress his feelings for Elena any longer.
If I'm gonna feel guilty about something, I'm gonna feel guilty about this.
Damon finally took a bold step and kissed Elena. Elena looked confused. Stefan had been silently protecting her all along, but she couldn't ignore everything Damon had done for her during her darkest, most desperate moments. Damon kissed Elena, and it filled him with joy. Just then, Stefan showed up. He didn't care at all about what his brother had done with his girlfriend. He only wanted to team up with Damon to drive Klaus out of town. As the Salvatore brothers headed to the witch's ancestral home, they were tracked by a hybrid. The brothers joined forces to take him down. Damon was getting quite skilled at ripping out hearts. There are 5 original vampires: Klaus, Rebecca, and the 3 still lying in the coffins. But who's in the 4th coffin? Their instincts told them this was the key to taking Klaus down. Yet no amount of physical force or magic could open it. Since they couldn't deal with Klaus right away, Stefan decided to start with a smaller goal: driving out Klaus's hybrids. The ruthless Stefan would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. He was just like the old Damon. Meanwhile, the changed Damon was becoming more like Stefan. Damon was worried that Stefan's reckless behavior would hurt others, but Stefan wouldn't listen. He stormed into Klaus's stronghold alone. Klaus assumed Stefan had come to make peace. "Hand over my family, and we can still be friends," he offered. To Klaus's surprise, Stefan was there to issue a threat. If Klaus's hybrid army didn't leave town, Stefan would hunt them down one by one until only Klaus was left. Klaus wasn't intimidated by Stefan's threat. As they faced off, a loyal hybrid stepped forward to protect Klaus, only to become the first casualty of Stefan's declaration of war. Stefan, with lightning speed, decapitated the hybrid right in front of Klaus. Klaus was truly enraged, yet there was nothing he could do to stop Stefan. Today was Caroline's 18th birthday, but after Tyler dropped off a gift, he quickly left. Tyler had been keeping to himself lately, afraid that his bond with Klaus would cause him to hurt his friends again, which broke Caroline's heart. When Caroline returned home, Elena and the others had prepared a surprise for her. They suggested throwing a party, but Caroline was saddened, knowing that as an immortal vampire, she would never truly be 18 again. Elena had an idea: why not throw a special kind of birthday party? Meanwhile, Klaus summoned Tyler, instructing him to carry out his plan for revenge. Tyler refused to participate. His life was already a mess, and he couldn't even be close to his girlfriend. But this gave Klaus an idea. He ordered Tyler to bite Caroline. Tyler stood firm, declaring that he would never hurt Caroline and wouldn't allow Klaus to send someone else to do it. To Tyler's surprise, Klaus relented, saying, "Fine, you can go." Tyler left, feeling puzzled. It seemed that his bond to Klaus didn't force him to obey after all, but Klaus's sly smile hinted at something more sinister, as if he had gotten exactly what he wanted. Later that night, Elena and her friends took Caroline to an old cemetery. They turned the birthday party into a funeral, helping Caroline bury her old self and embrace a new life. With a thought, Bonnie made the candles on the cake light up automatically. Caroline couldn't resist texting Tyler, asking him to join them at the party. Elena wasn't happy with Tyler after all. Jeremy had nearly died because of him. When the conversation turned to Jeremy, Bonnie expressed that she believed Elena had been wrong to control him.
He should be able to choose how he wants to live it. You're taking his choices away.
To avoid further awkwardness, Bonnie left early. It was clear she still had feelings for Jeremy. Not long after, Tyler arrived, wanting to talk to Caroline in private. Tyler was elated. He believed that his love for Caroline was strong enough to resist Klaus's control. He called it the power of true love. Caroline was deeply moved, but as they kissed, Tyler lost control and bit Caroline. So much for true love. It was a painful, literal slap in the face. Klaus's revenge had begun.
No, Caroline.
Get away from me!